We will call the Sherburne County Board of Commissioners meeting from October 18th to order, and we'll begin with a moment of silence and a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we can move on to approving our regular meeting proposed agenda. And is there any changes? Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the Commission. With the Commission's permission, staff would like to remove item 2.3. That's consent agenda item 2.3. It's regarding a proposed grant agreement with the Elk River School District. We no longer need to have any action taken on that item, so we can just remove it from the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone like to approve the agenda with that change?
I'll adopt or move the agenda as provided and with the removal of item 2.3.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion's passed. Now we can move on to announcements.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the
Oh,
Commission.
no, I'm sorry.
You can do a consent first? Yeah.
Yes, I do the consent agenda. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda.
I'll move approval with that one change.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay. Motion has been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda with the change from removal of 2.3. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. Motion's passed. Now we can move on to the announcements.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the Commission. Hey, Dan, would you grab a table for me? Thanks. Just a couple of brief announcements for the board and for the community. A follow-up, as you recall, we did have one of our Public Works employees competed in the Snowplow Rodeo, R-O-A-D-E-O. And I'm really excited to announce that Ken Davis finished third statewide out of 78 in that competition. So we have one of the best snowplow drivers in the state. That's pretty cool. So, and also, commissioners, just remember, if you're interested in a ride-along, we can try to figure out if you want to go be with Ken this winter. The one thing I'll remind you is, contrary to belief, we don't crank those heaters a lot because the snow goes up and then helps fog the windows. So often it's colder in the cab than it is outside. So just dress warm if you do a ride-along. Second of all is our auditor treasurer reported this week that for the first time in her 32-year career here at Sherburne County, we did not have a single parcel go tax forfeiture in the state of Minnesota for unpaid taxes. So kudos to Diane and the staff for amazing work to work with every property owner that was struggling to make sure that that got done. So Diane, congratulations. Next, just a note, Bruce from our Veteran Services Office and his staff on the 29th of September held a first ever event in the city of Elk River. It was an outreach event to reach our veterans. He offers a special thanks to the Elk River Legion Post 112 and the auxiliary. Bruce noted that very, very positive feedback. Folks said they'd never seen anything. They learned a lot about services and benefits to our veterans. And there were 76 veterans who attended that event. So amazing outreach on his part. And then we did learn at our conference a couple weeks ago that Tammy and I went to that one of the best practices that we had not been practicing is just a feedback loop to the board as well as to the community. So when things are discussed at open forum, if there's worth a reply back, and we've been doing some of that. So I just wanted to follow that best practice and note a couple of things. A couple weeks ago, we had some folks speak on election concerns in both Pennsylvania as well as in Wisconsin. And just a quick update on that. In the state of Wisconsin, Washington County was noted that they have made some changes. So we did research that a bit, and I just wanted to report back. First of all, we haven't verified 100%, but we do not believe that we use the same equipment, and obviously Wisconsin laws are very different than Minnesota's. But the actual action taken in Washington County, Wisconsin, and this is from their actual website, the Washington County Executive Committee voted to upgrade the system's election management system and to do a full recount of selected state and federal elections during their meeting. And specifically what they did is they changed the software. Actually, they changed the programming of the software with Dominion so that they can now program their election systems in-house, which they did prior to April of 2016. So they're still using Dominion equipment, they're still using the same software, they're just programming in-house. And then that county selected a couple of races in the state, I think it was 3, to do a hand recount of. Second of all, there was comments made about Pennsylvania and Fulton County, and there's an ongoing lawsuit or litigation going on there. It's pretty complicated, it's kind of legal, but the bottom line is that the county tried to get the Dominion equipment that they use to be tested by a non-independent lab. Dominion sued the county, went up to the state Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled in the company's favor in Dominion that the equipment had to be tested by an independent lab, which has not occurred. And then recently the county is suing Dominion for what they say is breach of contract. So there's a lot of litigation going back and forth. But again, different state, different election equipment. Didn't find a lot of analogy to what we're doing here. So we'll continue to report back when we hear things, just so that the community and the board has a full report back. And that's it for announcements.
Okay, thank you. So now we can move on to open forum. Do we have anyone?
Yes, Madam Chair, we have 6 people signed up this morning.
6?
6.
Do you want to read and then should we address the time for each individual and make it a little bit less so we can fit it into a 15-minute period?
Sure, whatever the chair and the board wants. The purpose of the open forum section of the county board meeting is to allow public input and/or information to be presented to the board that does not require action by the board. It is requested that speakers refrain from personal attack of any kind against another person, commissioner, or employee. It is requested that speakers refrain from campaign-type presentations. The time limit is 3 minutes per speaker with a maximum of 5 speakers per open forum. The time limit may be shortened or extended at the discretion of the board chair. The open forum may be continued following the conclusion of the regular board business meeting agenda items. It is requested that all input or information be addressed to the Board of Commissioners and not to members of the audience. Speaker handouts are public information. The county may make copies of such handouts for the public if needed, and the county board chair will ensure that the open forum policy is followed.
Okay, I think if we shorten each one to 2.5 minutes, then we'd have 15 minutes for the 6. Are you able to?
Yes, I can adjust the time on my end.
Okay. So we can go ahead and start with whoever's first.
First, we have Kari Watkins of St. Cloud speaking on elections.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Some interesting things have come to light since the last meeting 2 weeks ago. I'm going to highlight 3. I brought you a report from the EAC regarding erroneous code found in the Dominion ICP tabulators. Mr. Misselt, at the last board meeting, assured us that these machines were not used by Sherburne County, and that is true. However, it was discovered in Georgia that 64 out of 66 counties that the Dominion ICP tabulators were used had this erroneous code. That's 97% of Georgia counties. That, along with the problems with the ICX machines and the ability of the program to flip ballot images on Dominion machines, should give anyone concerned about using Dominion in general, but more on Dominion later. I quote Politico's article, "The Voting Machine Hack Threat You Probably Haven't Heard about." This is in regards to modems. These states have persisted in using modems even though the hacking risk has been established for years. The Senate Intelligence Committee recommended in a 2019 report that officials remove or disable any wireless networking capability in their voting machines, end quote. Minnesota is one of those states that should end the use of modems. Now back to Dominion. A new report has come out about Dominion ICP and ICE ballot scanners. Sherburne County uses ICE scanners. Here we have Alex J. Halderman stating, colleagues and I have found serious privacy flaws that affect the Dominion ICP and IC ballot scanners, end quote. Basically, this flaw can allow your ballot to be identified and your vote to be known. Therefore, there is not a secret ballot. An Office of the Minnesota Secretary of State press release dated October 14, 2022 confirms this. It seems that the problems with Dominion systems keeps growing and growing. The amount of wasted taxpayer dollars on these expensive and insecure systems is unbelievable. We must return to hand tabulating our votes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Gary Tonsager speaking on election integrity from Elk River.
Thank you. Good morning. The election deniers are being fact-checked. And guess what? It turns out they're being proven right. The mainstream media is finally catching up with the deniers. Political ran an article with the headline, "The Voting Machine Threats You Probably Haven't Heard About." Modems help election officials report results quickly, but security experts say they are too dangerous to trust. Their article goes on to talk about cellular modems that transmit unofficial election night results and how the connections can open up new ways to attack it that don't require physical access to the machines, and the security experts say the risks aren't worth the rewards. Then the New York Times was forced to report on the arrest of Eugene Yu, an executive from the small Michigan election software company Conic, was charged with grand theft by embezzlement and conspiracy to commit a crime. Less than a month ago, I was here to talk to you about Mr. Yu and his problems. He is charged with sending election poll information, sensitive information, to a server in Wuhan, China. It took a month for the New York Times to catch up to the deniers. Election software executives, and in case you didn't notice, the election deniers got it right again. Mr. Yu's company provided election poll pads under the name Poll Chief for multiple municipalities throughout the United States. These poll pads were sending data electronically via cellular modems across the internet, just like Politico reported in their article I highlighted earlier. Was Politico forced to write about the problems now that the result of the arrest of Mr. Yu? I think the dam is beginning to break. So what does that have to do with Sherburne County? Well, we use poll pads here too, not from Conic, but from a company called Inc. And guess what? We send voting information via wireless hotspots provided by the cellular company Verizon, just like Conic did. I have the contract with me right here, so if anybody needs to see it, we bought 32 cellular modems, and it's right there in print. It's time for Sherburne County to wake up to the threat to our sovereign right to have our votes counted, and that our election deniers are telling you that everything is what we're telling you is true. And I have the results right here, plus the Washington County in Wisconsin. They went back to 2016 before they purchased the Dominion machines. So that's the machines that they went with, for the record. Thank you.
Next, we have Tracy Soden from Big Lake with a petition.
Good morning.
I have here a petition of Sherburne County residents stating that we, the undersigned voting residents of the state of Minnesota and the county of Sherburne, demand the immediate decertification and banning of all Dominion election system and software, Smartmatic, and related vote tabulating hardware and software systems currently in use in Sherburne County for the following reasons. These systems are at the heart of a nationwide scandal involving their use and abuse in multiple states during the 2020 national election. Dominion faces multiple lawsuits and allegations of misconduct regarding the use of software feature known as the race-based percentages that represent vote tallies as weighted percentages rather than whole numbers, therefore allowing for fraudulent vote tabulation. Dominion faces multiple lawsuits and allegations of misconduct regarding software feature that enables vote switching, whereby votes can be switched from one candidate to another. Dominion faces multiple lawsuits and allegations of misconduct regarding the lack of robust security features and data logging, both on the local level and the transmission of voting results that allow for easy hacking and vote manipulation. Dominion officials have refused to show for hearings in Pennsylvania to defend their systems before the Pennsylvania legislature. Dominion offices in the United States and Canada are now closed. Over 100 Dominion employees have removed their professional profiles from services such as LinkedIn and have sought to completely disassociate themselves from the company on their social media accounts. When taken in total, all these actions by Dominion and their corporate officers call into question the security and reliability of the products. We therefore demand the voting machines be forensically copied by a professional while being observed by a vendor of our choice, and then immediately decertified and banned from the use in the Sherburne County. And then on another note, affidavits have been turned over to the state Senate and are currently being investigated.
Thank you very much.
One of those machines have found 5% voters more than the ballots.
That's awesome.
Next, we have Terry Dickinson of Big Lake speaking on UPS voters.
According to this new affidavit by Rick Weibel of Midwest Swamp Watch, it appears that there is evidence that Sherburne County Auditor and/or County Attorney did not finish work with some of the votes that were submitted from the 2020 election. The packet of dead voters, duplicate voters, P.O. Box voters, and UPS store voters was turned into the Sheriff's Office, I believe in October of 2021, then was investigated and turned over to the Attorney and the Auditor. In January of 2022, we met with the Sheriff, Auditor Arnold, and the County Attorney regarding these violations. We never received an indication from the auditor and or the attorney that the cases were being prosecuted, but we would like to know the outcome. As of October 2nd, 2022, 2 of these voters are still registered to vote from the UPS store. In 2020, one of them voted as in precinct. Now, the problem is worse. There are 7 additional voters registered to vote from that UPS store in Elk River. It is illegal to use a UPS store as your residence because you do not sleep there. If these registered voters claiming the UPS store as their residence vote, this is a felony as indicated by Rick Weibel's affidavit, which I will submit to you as well as the attorney and the sheriff today. Weibel's affidavit also includes other dead voters still on the rolls in Sherburne County. Notice 201.275 Investigations Prosecutions. A law enforcement agency that is notified by affidavit of an alleged violation of this chapter shall promptly investigate. Upon receiving an affidavit alleging a violation of this chapter, a county attorney shall promptly forward it to a law enforcement agency with jurisdiction for investigation. If there is probable cause for instituting a prosecution, the county attorney shall proceed according to the general application standards regarding the prosecutorial functions and duties of a county attorney, provided that the county attorney is not required to proceed with the prosecution if the complainant withdraws the allegation. A county attorney who refuses or intentionally fails to faithfully perform this or any other duty imposed by this chapter is guilty of a misdemeanor and upon conviction shall forfeit office. B, willful violation of this chapter by any public employee constitutes just cause for suspension without pay or dismissal of a public employee. C, where the matter relates to a voter registration application submitted electronically through the secure website established in Section 201.061 Subdivision 1, alleged violations of this chapter may be investigated and prosecuted in the county in which the individual registered or attempted to register.
Thank you, Terry.
And it was a Dominion machine in Sherburne County that indicated 5% more votes than they had in their possession.
Next, we have Dean Dieterman of Elk River, and he is speaking about the second half of Proverbs 9, verse 10.
All I have to say to those guys is, wow. Anyway, most of our hearts long to understand what our brains cannot. There was a man of the Pharisees named Nicodemus, a ruler of the Jews. This man came to Jesus by night and said to him, Rabbi, we know that you are a teacher come from God, for no one can do these signs that you do unless God is with him. The path is narrow but well lit, but stepping into the light challenges our self-image and worldview. Jesus answered and said to him, most assuredly, I say to you, unless one is born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God. Nicodemus said to him, how can a man be born when he is old? Can he enter a second time into his mother's womb and be born? Jesus answered, most assuredly I say to you, unless one is born of the Spirit, he cannot enter the kingdom of God. That which is born of the flesh is flesh. That which is born of the Spirit is spirit. Do not marvel that I said to you, you must be born again. The wind blows where it wishes, and you hear the sound of it, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it goes. So it goes with everyone who is born of the Spirit. Nicodemus answered and said to him, how can these things be? Thank you. Check out Proverbs 1:7. You're all in my prayers. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Brett Collier of Big Lake, speaking on 20-year land use.
Good morning.
Good morning. A couple weeks ago, I went to the online survey for 20-year land use. Who wrote that? When you start reading this thing, if you haven't seen this survey before, it's online and you've got 2 answers and you have a slider that goes which one you want closest. Well, just the second question there, it's labeled, it's the first question, it's number 2. Should we allocate funds and resources to attract new residents and jobs and tax bases? Or should we reinvest in services and amenities that benefit existing residents and businesses? This question and all the other ones are essentially, do you want me to spend more money here or more money here? I don't want you to spend more money. I want you to spend less money. I want you to worry about what we have here. You, the commissioners, Sherburne County, you are not the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce is out there to bring more business in, to increase that. That's not your job. Your job is to manage what we have here and try and save money when you're doing it. So, again, this survey was not prepared in any type of neutral manner. Anyone who wants to save money, who wants to spend less, they don't have an answer here. You're just going to use this survey to justify any type of further increase in spending, because that's the only thing the questions allow you to do. The question, do you want to spend more here or more here? So I suggest that whoever put this survey together, try it again and put it back out in a different form so that it's neutral and people can put down what their actual feelings are. Thank you.
Okay, so I think that's, we're done. Everyone has had a chance to speak. So now we can move on to our regular agenda. And we'll start with 5.1, which is our 2022 Farm Family of the Year and University of Minnesota Extension update with Lori and Danielle. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for taking time for us today. Do we have members of the Dudley family here? We do not. So we have 2 purposes for being with you this morning. And one of them is to present the Farm Family of the Year. So I will tell you a little bit about the Farm Family. But first, I wanted to thank you for your support of Extension in Sherburne County. As you know, we started a new partnership this year with Stearns, Benton, and Morrison counties, and we wanted to give you a little update on how that's going. So with me today, I have two of the educators that are a part of that partnership. I also have Danielle Ganji, who you know. She is our 4-H educator here, and I've asked each of them just to take a couple of minutes to tell you a little bit about themselves and what they're doing. It's important to us that our county board knows the folks that are doing this work in your county. If you ever have ideas about things we should be focusing on, we want to hear that from the county. If members of the community have that, these folks are here to help, to do visits on site, and to make sure that all of these agricultural professionals in Sherburne County have the support they need. So with us, I've got Danielle, who works with 4-H. I've got Quincy Sadowski, who is the horticulture educator that works with Stearns, Benton, Morrison, and now Sherburne County, and Anthony Adams. Anthony is our new Small Farms Local Foods educator. So I asked them each to tell you a little bit about themselves and what they've been up to in the short time that they've been working with Sherburne County.
Hello, I'm just going to start by giving a little brief update about Sherburne 4-H and kind of some things over the last year and a little snapshot of the program and its impact locally. 4-H, as I mentioned a couple weeks ago when we proclaimed it National 4-H Week, it's all about experiential learning. The slogan is learn by doing, and in 4-H, that learning has no bounds. 4-H can really be an a la carte experience for young people, and you can get as involved as you want. You can participate in local clubs, educational workshops, day camps, or summer residential camps, or even getting involved in county, regional, or statewide, even national opportunities that exist for youth in grades kindergarten through 1 year past high school. In Sherburne County, we currently have 7 community clubs across the county. Many of them are located in Elk River. We also have a club in Big Lake and Becker. We currently serve over 275 youth with the support of more than 80 adult volunteers. And the foundation of the 4-H program is really youth leadership, and we strive to grow the next generation of true leaders. In 4-H, we give youth the opportunity to display what they've learned through showcase opportunities. Most commonly, those are at the county and state fairs. And this past year, just want to give you some numbers on what that looked like. This past year, over 140 youth participated in our local county fair, which is a 28% increase from last year. So that was good to see. And that included 36% more youth participating in animal projects and 29% more showing projects in the 4-H building, so other general projects. The most popular project by far is crafts and fine arts. We have a lot of young people that explore their creative talents in that way. But also other popular areas include photography, video, foods and nutrition, and science and woodworking and those kind of areas as well. The most popular animal projects that are in Sherburne County are horse, rabbit, and dog. And those, but we also saw some big increases this year in sheep, dog, and dairy. Dairy was up over 100% from last year. We have a new club that has a lot of dairy farm presence and families that are participating in that. We also had 14 youth that went on to the state fair to show their animals, and 22 youth who showed their 4-H projects in the 4-H building at the state fair. And then we also have youth compete in the state shoot competition, state horse show, and state dog show, which all took place in September. So we have lots of youth that are, showcasing their talents and taking advantage of the opportunities that exist in 4-H. And if you have any suggestions to grow the 4-H program in Sherburne County, please reach out to me, and I look forward to hearing those.
Yes, just a minute. You have a question here?
Yes. Thanks for your presentation and your update. I just, as you all know, I serve the Zimmerman, Princeton area, and I recognize that most of our kids, they're Baldwin North.
Yes.
are served by the Mille Lacs County
Correct.
4-H. But just want to mention that we
Yes.
have, even though students might live in Sherburne County, there are other 4-H for different reasons, school.
Yes, and we
or
pull youth from Anoka or Wright County as well. You don't have to strictly live within the county boundaries. You can choose to participate in whichever 4-H program works best for your family.
Yep, so I just wanted the public to know that our boundaries aren't just clear boundaries in the line in the
Correct.
sand, that we work to serve all students
Right.
where it
And
makes sense for
yes.
their family.
Exactly, and I work with educators from the surrounding area as well to reach youth and all regionally as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. My name is Quincy Sadowski. I am the new horticulture educator for the Quad Squad. I am originally from Illinois, so that's kind of home, but I got my undergrad at Utah State University in dairy science, and I just got my master's in crop science from the University of Illinois. Extension has always been part of my life. I was a 4-H'er. My mom was a master gardener, so this program has always meant a lot to me. I work closely with the Sherburne County Master Gardeners, and they recently just had one of their fall expos, and there had over 60 participants that came and spent, I think it was like 8 hours of education and vendors, and that was really well received. So closely working with relationships with there. I am in the process of potentially getting a partnership with Big Lake area to provide education there. So I'm looking forward to continue this relationship, and if you guys have any feedback or a focus you would like, I am in the process of creating a needs assessment for the community, and I will put that out there too. So look for that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Anthony Adams, your new Small Farms Local Foods Extension educator. So I'm quite new. I started in September 6th, but since then I've had the opportunity to meet with a variety of board members, including the CEC, the County Extension Committee, and I am continuing to reach out to kind of sort of everyone that I can to kind of get an idea of what Sherburne County needs are and how I can help. So a little bit about myself. Before this position, I kind of came on board as an interim horticultural educator, and I also worked on the farm information line, which is a line that covers the entire Minnesota. So any type of farm-related questions were kind of sort of put out there, and I was able to be part of the team to respond to that. I was also, because of that, a point person for biosecurity for HPAI, so avian influenza, which is still kind of out there and present. Before that, I was working on my master's in aquaculture and aquatic science at Kentucky State, and my bachelor's is from Gustavus Adolphus in biology and environmental studies with a few minors here and there. So I'm really excited to be here, and again, I'll continue to reach out. I think a lot of what I'll be doing in the coming months is kind of receiving a lot of information, building up an idea of what Sherburne County needs, and how I can help, and especially because this relationship is fairly new. And on top of that new relationship, there's this wonderful new position because Sherburne County has the farms and has statistically shown that it needs more resource for small farms and local foods. So I'm very excited to be here, and you guys have been really welcoming. I've met with a couple of the staffs here too, and it's just been a wonderful opportunity. So I will reach out to you guys as best as I can and hope that you reach back out to me, because I can't help you if you aren't able to tell me what you need. And just as my colleague said, needs assessments is something that would be good, but some folks don't like to take the time to fill out statistics. So my number will be made available to anyone, or my email. So whatever form of communication you feel comfortable using, whether that's in person, video, Zoom, phone call, I'm readily available to you guys, and I'm ready to serve you guys.
Thank you so much.
So at any time, if anybody wants to reach out to any of these educators or the others working with the county, you can just call the extension office and they can get you to the right person. And in all of our cases, these educators have easy access to an endless pool of expertise and knowledge. So if they don't know the answer to the questions that you have. We will certainly find out. And it doesn't matter if it's something from what bug is on my apple tree, to what is my soil missing, to how do I start a new business in Sherburne County, a small farm. So again, really from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I know we talked a lot, we worked a lot last year to put this partnership in place. And the beauty of it is that for a very small investment from each of the counties, by sharing educators, you get a really nice breadth and depth of programming and curriculum. So this year we've worked to kind of build the team, which admittedly has not been easy in a year where hiring and retaining talent is difficult. And in extension, you know, this is a labor of love. We're not, corporate entities can certainly offer a much bigger package than we can. So the educators that come to us and stay with us do it because they love what they're doing and like being a part of their communities and helping those communities. So please do reach out and tell us what you need. I will say, just to remember, and like Anthony said, the reason that we really thought this was a good for Sherburne County is because small farms and local foods is an economic driver here. You are, I think, the only county in the state actually who can boast more farms today than you had years ago, and that is because you have more smaller farms. Everything's from Christmas trees and potatoes to cut flowers, and this year's farm family syrup. They were going to be here today, so I'm a little bit disappointed, a lot disappointed actually, that they're not. But since we have the time on the agenda, I will tell you a little bit about this farm family. The Farm Family of the Year for 2022. As you know, we pick one family in each county. It's a nomination process. So we do a call for nominations. Different families are nominated, and then the Extension Committee selects from those nominations. And it is always fun since I've been here to come to Sherburne County because you do have the most unique mix of farms. So in the past few years I've been here, it's all been very unique kinds of things that your farmers are doing. And this year is no different. The Farm Family of the Year this year is the Dudley Syrup Company. Are you guys familiar with the Dudleys? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, if you go to any of your local farmers markets, you would definitely be familiar with what they do. But certainly interesting, and we know a lot of people who tap for syrup, but as I was reading about this county, it's quite astonishing how much they tap and what they actually do. So I'll read you a little bit about them. In 2011, Jake and Aaron Dudley began their syrup business by tapping only 14 trees. They used bags, and they hauled the sap to a boiler. The following year, they kept expanding the number of trees they tapped, and by 2012, it was 35. In 2013, they purchased land and tapped 100 trees. They tapped 200 trees a year later, and in 2015, 250, using now tubing to connect their trees. The family built a sugar shack on their land to help in the syrup-making process. By 2016, the Dudleys tapped 500 trees and began selling syrup at farmers markets. 2 years later, they began to tap birch trees. And if you've ever had birch syrup, it's a little bit more spicy and smoky. It's very different than maple syrup. It's good for like a marinade. Salmon is something it's very, very good on, just a sidebar. The past season, the Dudleys tapped 730 maple trees and over 700 birch trees to make their syrup. Jake and Aaron harvested 10,000 gallons of sap from 730 maple trees this past spring. After boiling it to evaporate the water out, they're left with about 220 gallons, so quite a reduction, of maple syrup that they sell at farmers markets in Princeton, Elk River, Otsego, and Big Lake. They sell maple syrup, maple sugar, and birch syrup. They receive a great deal of help from friends and family during the syrup season. Jake takes care of tubing, boiling, evaporation, and equipment. He also manages trees. Erin helps with bottling syrup and selling it. She also assists with tapping and cleaning and feeding the workers during the season. The couple's daughter, Lynn, assists with the syrup-making process and helps the family with marketing and posting on social media. She attends the university, Minnesota State University Moorhead. The family holds tours and classes for homeschoolers and churches, so if anyone is ever interested, I encourage you to check them out. The Dudleys say they live by the motto, and I love this more than anything, money does grow on trees. So I would ask you to thank them, but they're not here. I do have a certificate. We'll make sure that that gets into their hands. So hopefully they're watching and paying attention. But that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for your support of our programs. And hopefully next year we'll bring you an update about all the grand things that we've been doing with our new team in place.
Thank you so much.
Madam Chair.
Yes. Yes, go ahead.
I would just like to say, I know Jake Dudley. He graduated from Big Lake, and I was involved when he first started coming to the Big Lake Farmers Market and heard his story about how he wanted to got this idea in 2011, and like you said, started out small. And through the ability to do farmers markets and such, he continued to grow that business. And so I have to say, it is definitely a family operation, and they are great people. And I do love that statement, money. And my suggestion would be to reach out to the farmers market coordinators, because they do have a direct link to a lot of the small farms that you can make contact with then. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much. Okay, now we can move on to item 5.2, which is to consider and approve acceptance of the Blue Cross Blue Shield Racial and Health Equity Grant for Sherburne County Dental Service Expansion Project. And we have Jody with us. Thank you.
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. As you mentioned, today we're going to be looking for approval of this grant award as well as the contract, which is attached, and that has been vetted by our county attorney's office. But we also thought this was a great opportunity just to highlight a little bit of the work that we're starting to do around dental services and trying to expand that throughout Sherburne County, specifically for those who are on medical assistance or uninsured. So we're very happy that we were able to receive this grant. We were fully funded for what we requested, which is in the amount of $82,946.80. The plan is that this will be a 36-month project to bring dental services specifically to individuals who are on MA, uninsured, Black, Indigenous, or persons of color. So we were able to identify partners in our community to help us with this. Children's Dental Services is one of the, is the provider who's going to be bringing mobile dental services to these 3 locations here in Sherburne County. It'll be full range of dental services, ages 0 to 100. So we were very fortunate that we were able to get pretty much everything that we felt like we needed to be able to carry this out. So the 3 locations, I just wanted to point out that they are opening up their locations to the entire public. So not just the scope of the people that they're serving, but anyone from the public who is in need of those mobile dental services. So Open Doors for Youth in Elk River is one of our partners locations. They serve a highly transient and low socioeconomic group of individuals. We heard that they were interested in bringing dental services in, so they were kind of, it was very easy to kind of reach out to them and see if they would want to partner with this. They currently provide medical services 1 day a week from their agency, and felt like adding dental services would be a great addition to some of the outreach services that they're already providing. The second location is the Zimmerman Community Event Center, and I want to thank Commissioner Phoebe for helping to make that connection for us. They are open and available to allowing the dental services to come in. In addition to that, we really like this location because they are allowing us to bring our wellness bus to that location on the same day that the mobile dental services will be provided. So we're excited to be able to add a new location for the wellness bus and be able to offer an array of economic support and social service programs there. Obviously, we'll need to be inside in the winter months, but be able to have the wellness bus there on location. So it was a great kind of connection to be able to make with them as well. Our third location is Promise Neighborhood in Southeast St. Cloud. They provide year-round academic programs for youth. They also provide training and resources for adults in their community. They have 2 elementary schools located in their community, Talahi Elementary and Lincoln Elementary. And of the children attending those 2 schools, 80.7% are children of color and 89.9% receive free and reduced lunch. The median household income in that area is lower than the general Southeast St. Cloud area, with an average of $38,000 per year for median income. So that, again, was an area we really felt there's some disparate needs there that we wanted to be able to work with Promise Neighborhood to open up their agency for these dental services as well. So very excited about those partnerships. We are going to start with doing 1 day per month in each of the locations. We really want to assess the needs and what that looks like for each of the communities. And there would be opportunities to add additional days if we feel like that is needed in those communities. So we may be expanding our time there. We recently just met to begin the kind of planning and rollout for this, and we're looking at a December rollout date. In process of securing initial start dates with Promise Neighborhood and with Zimmerman, but Open Doors for Youth has already selected December 8th as their go-live date. So we really want to spend the month of November working with Children's Dental Services and the surrounding communities to do some marketing, getting the word out that these services will be available, the times, how to make appointments. So I would welcome any feedback that you have in regards to any targeted marketing that we should be doing specifically to those areas. But we have identified working with the local schools. We think that's a great source to be able to get information out to families, civic organizations, churches in all of the communities. I know Southeast St. Cloud really wants to get United Way on board with doing some of the marketing as well, but we're very open to feedback on that as well.
Thank you. Is there any, go ahead.
I just want to thank you for all your work on this. I was so excited when you called and connected with me about Zimmerman, and dental care is just so critical for all ages. And I think it's going to be a great addition to these communities. And with the opening of the dental clinic over in Wright, we just have more opportunity. As far as people to contact, you mentioned the ones that popped into my mind first. Definitely the schools, ministerial group. Our group is meeting, Sheriff's Office and us are meeting with the ministerial group. So maybe if you have the dates by then, that would be great to share at that Faith Community Leaders Gathering in November.
I'll make sure I have flyers for that.
Yeah, I thought about that. So
Yeah.
if I think of others, I'll let you know. But a lot of moving parts to pull this together. I recognize that, and I'm just thrilled that it's come together. So
thank you. So are we. We do have an internal dental work group that started just before this grant came out. So we had an opportunity to meet and start talking about it. And when this grant came out, we knew exactly what we needed to do. We're continuing to meet, and just through some additional discussions, are starting to reach out to our elderly and disabled populations and communities to really begin to assess the need. I'll thank Commissioner Brandt for that conversation, to move us in that direction of thinking about possibly assisted living facilities that might need that service, or nursing home facilities, because Children's Dental Services seems very willing to be here. We just need to build those partnerships. So we're going to continue to work on that, and our dental group meets monthly.
Madam Chair. Yeah, I think that we'll probably be surprised how overwhelming the population that has struggled to access dental health care. And I appreciate that we got a grant to try to fill that gap. I just am curious, in looking over everything, the grant covers our engagement in setting those areas up. Anything beyond that gets paid through various insurance and health programs.
Correct, yes.
Yep, just wanted to clarify that for the audience and the viewing public, that will be taken care of. Maybe you can expand a little bit more on that, Jody,
Sure.
as to how that will be paid for. for the
So
people that come?
a good portion of the grant covers having the staffing time for setup and takedown for dental service providers. So it's not a huge expense. So I really feel like at the end of this grant, we'll be able to find some sustainability in keeping these areas up and running. They have significant providers already in St. Cloud, so they're not charging any setup time or takedown time for that. Of the individuals served, they will pay for children's dental services, will bill insurance, medical assistance rates is what they will obtain for payment for these services. They indicated that in our last meeting, I don't have my notes, but I think 90% of the population they serve is on medical assistance, and they're fully covered for those services. There is a small portion of individuals who are uninsured and cannot become insured for a variety of different reasons. This grant will help supplant some of those barriers for those individuals who are uninsured. It'll also, I think we'll learn a lot about what are those circumstances that put people in that uninsured position, and then begin working on potential solutions around that population as well.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how this is going to work, because the 90% that you refer to, and then the 10%, the 90% struggle to get access. And if we can be a part of helping them connect with some access availability, I think that'll be a huge help.
I will also add, our work group just sent out a dental survey to all providers in Sherburne County, because we wanted to ask some of those questions. We understand that reimbursement rates are low for medical assistance, but really wanted to engage with them to say, what would it take? What would it take for you to be able to serve more individuals on MA? And we're looking forward to getting those results back to see if we could be building any partnerships specifically with dental clinics too, to see where we could possibly expand.
Yeah, I think I had heard before that dentists will normally take a very small handful a month to serve those needs.
I actually heard, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that there isn't a dentist in Sherburne that takes medical assistance patients.
We'll be able to report out on that too once we get that survey back.
Yeah, it'll be good to have that information, because my understanding is it's a pretty far ride to get a provider that will even take an MA patient for dental care.
That's true.
So this is a great service.
Yeah. That's my understanding also, and I understand that the medical assistance rates that they pay are low. And so it's really, I think, wonderful that we have a resource that we can use to help provide dental care to people of all ages everywhere in our county who are, have the ability to pay. It's just not what dental offices are normally paid, and I understand that also. So I just think this is a wonderful project, and glad to hear how it's moving forward. So thank you so much.
So I think we just need approval to accept the award and contract.
I'll move approval to accept the award, the Blue Cross Blue Shield Racial and Health Equity Grant Funds in the amount of $82,946.80 to offer mobile dental services in 3 Sherburne County locations.
Okay, motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve this request. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion's passed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Jody.
Okay, so now we can move on to item 5.3, which is to consider and approve release and satisfaction of promissory note and security agreement and financing statement for Elk River Municipal Utilities methane to energy project. Welcome.
It's a mouthful, isn't it? Yes.
Yes.
So, Madam Chair, Commissioners, this is kind of a bittersweet moment for me personally. I remember when we started this project over 20 years ago, working towards that initiative, forming a partnership with Elk River Municipal Utilities and working with Waste Management for the supplier of the methane. And just last Friday, Tom Sextetter brought in the last 2 checks for payment. And so the loan amount of $3,521,000 is fully paid off. And with that, you have in front of you the release and satisfaction of the promissory note and security agreement and financing statement. I've worked with Kathy Heaney on this agreement. So, yeah, and know that January, I'm hoping, January,
February, yeah.
Yeah, January, February, we will be putting together a PowerPoint and bringing it to the board to demonstrate the success of this partnership that, and Tom, do you have anything to share in addition, or?
Sure. Here, there.
You better, yeah, go over here so people online can hear.
We'd hate for the camera not to see you.
Okay. Madam Chair and Commission, yeah, it's been a great run. I came in a little bit later than Dave here. I came in 2011 and started managing it from the utility perspective, but it's been a good run. We've had some ups and downs and some challenges, but overall it's been great. The good news is that the methane is going to find a new use. It's going to be changed into natural gas. There's going to be another partnership that's going to be utilizing that, but as of, I believe it's going to be noon on October 31st, we're going to shut down generators, which have been running primarily 24/7, 365 since November 1st of 2002. So, like Dave said, bittersweet, but a good project. And from the utilities perspective, we want to thank you for your support and the loan over the 20 years that made this happen. It was a great experience. We had thousands of people tour that facility over its lifetime. The last couple of years have been a little bit light because of COVID, but it's been a great gem.
From other countries too.
Yeah, there was Czechoslovakia and Germany. It was just a spectacular shining star for us, for Energy City, and for Sherburne County. So thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Any questions?
Madam Chair, just a quick question. I'm just wondering if we don't sign this, will you still bring a $35,000 check every month then?
Nope, that won't strike. Sorry.
Okay,
Madam
so I
Chair.
think we have another question too.
Yes, I just want to say that these are the kinds of partnerships that we need to continue to work towards using our, our products that we put into the landfills and then be able to capture back that methane gas and provide opportunities. And I'd like to see us continue to partner in the future with other forms of being able to turn our waste into energy as well. So, and thank you for that long partnership. And with that being said, I would be more than happy to make the motion to approve the release and satisfaction of the promissory note and security agreement and financing statement for Elk River Municipal Utilities methane to energy project.
Okay, motion's been made to approve the request. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
And thank you so much for that partnership. If you can think of any other partnerships that we can encourage that thought process on, we're all ears.
Yes. And I'm looking forward to the presentation in January or after the first of the year, just to look at the history. You know, I've toured a few times and it's been a long time. I should stop back in there, but it'll be great to see all that it's been about. So.
Yep, yeah, we have a lot of pictures, going back. So you'll see me through stages of 20 years and yeah, a lot of gas curves.
Okay, so we have it. Is there any further discussion? We have to vote before you. Yeah. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion's passed. Okay.
All right,
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Yes, thank you. Okay, now we can move on to item 5.4. And we have consider and approve an updated model 3-year assessment agreement for use with township boards and city councils. And we have Michelle Moen with us. Hello, Michelle.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. In your packet, you should have received our proposed 3-year assessment agreement. And this is for our local jurisdictions that we currently provide assessment services for. In the past, we've done 1-year agreements, and at this time, we are proposing a 3-year agreement. And with that, no increase in fees towards those jurisdictions. We did send the agreement up to the county attorney's office, and the county attorney has reviewed and approved this agreement. So at this time, we're seeking approval of a 3-year assessment agreement.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve?
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the updated model 3-year assessment agreement for use with the township boards and city councils.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
No, thank you for doing this. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Curious, so is this something we've had with the townships and cities before?
But we've done annual.
Just a year at a time, so has there,
No.
and there's been nothing that's been changed in it?
Nothing will be changed except now it's a 3-year.
Doing a 3.
And we are looking at doing this, the 25, 26, 27 assessments. That way we can get this to them for their budgeting and get them to sign this prior to when they're all proposing their budgets next year. So it'll be the forward assessments. And there'll be, like I said, no change in fees. We'll be at the same fees per parcel that we've been currently at. And I did submit an email to all the clerks for those jurisdictions, giving them a heads up that this could be coming and letting them know also that there would be no change in the fees if this is approved.
Great.
Okay.
Madam
Any
Chair,
other
one
discussion?
question.
Go ahead.
And then, of course, it'll be up to those jurisdictions to decide if they're going to continue and enter into the agreement with
Correct.
us.
Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion's passed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we can move on to item 5.5, which is to receive the American Rescue Plan Act update and consider approval of recommended expenditures. And we have Dan Weber with us.
Good morning, Commissioners. This week we have 2 biweekly expenditures. Actually, all the expenditures this week are public safety related. And the first 2 expenditures under the $50,000 would be $30,519.19. Looking for approval of those 2 expenditures.
So the 2, number 1 and number 2, or are there 2 under number 1? Which way is that?
Number 1 is the expenses under $50,000, and there were 2 expenses this week.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay.
I will move approval of the biweekly expenditures under 50,000.
Okay, motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion's passed.
Next up are 3 expenses over the $50,000 threshold, and we'd like those approved separately. The first is the HR business partner cost. As we all know, recruitment for law enforcement right now has become very challenging, and these costs help with recruitment and retaining law enforcement personnel.
Would anyone like to make a motion to approve?
Madam Chair, I'll make that motion to approve the HR business partner costs of $75,377.48.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
How long does that partnership last? Is it a?
It's eventually being transitioned onto the levy. So this was a position that was created a couple years ago.
Okay.
And it's being transitioned over to the levy over a number of years.
How
And
many
so we're
number
using
of years?
It was over 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I remember this vaguely.
So we're using American Rescue Plan dollars to pay for it as opposed to Sheriff's Office dollars.
Okay.
And then when that expires, then the sheriff office will start to pick up that.
Administration will start to pick up that cost eventually.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion's passed.
The second approval is for some patrol staff tasers, and I'm going to turn it over to Commander Zawacki to explain that project.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, good morning.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Currently, we have 73 tasers in our department, two different models, the X26 and the X26P. The X26 are over 15 years old. It was the original tasers purchased. They're starting to break down, and Taser will no longer give parts or batteries. So they came out with a new taser model, Taser 7. We're looking to get the 35 X26s that we currently have replaced with the new Taser 7 models, 35 of those units.
Okay. Anyone like to make a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion, Madam Chair, to approve the patrol staff tasers, the new models at $130,125 to replace our old ones that are over 15 years old.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion's passed.
Thank you.
And then item 3, C rather.
Item 2C. Good morning, Madam Chair and County Board. Thank you for the time. Brian Kamen, IT Director, here to talk about the Sheriff IT redundant storage. The Sheriff is working on the secondary facility in Zimmerman, being also a secondary compute facility. So they're looking for some storage, data storage arrays within that facility. It has an approximate lifespan of 6 years within our environment. So we'd be, working on forward budgets to replace that item. And that is the IT request.
Okay.
I'll move approval of the Sheriff IT redundant storage request for $78,000.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion's passed.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay. Now we move on to item number 3.
I'd like to transition into a broadband discussion. As you know, we did open up a second round of broadband applications that closed at the end of September. We did receive 7 applications, and here's a map of the affected areas. And we'll leave that up for a second just so you can visualize that. But if you could bring up the scoring chart, Keisha, so we can go project by project. As I mentioned, we did receive 7 applications. The applications in red from both RVIG and Frontier are in partnership with the Border to Border program at the state. We did talk about the RVIG projects back in July. They needed a letter of commitment for their application to the state. So those 2 have already been talked. We also did get an application from Frontier, which is our first application from them since we started working with broadband projects. That one, if the state were to fund, they would not have a county request. So we're currently waiting to see if the county or the state would approve that project. And if they would, that request would go away. However, if the state rejects that application, then they would be seeking county funds. And as you can see, it's a fairly large project around the Big Lakes chain for over 400 passings, which is a fairly large project. We also received 4 applications from Midco. Those did not score quite as high because they have a lower passing total and a higher percentage of public funds as opposed to the amount that they're contributing to the projects. You can see the scoring on the side and also the per passing costs. Most of the projects are pretty similar in cost, between that $2,000 to $3,100 range. And then the one in Orac, which is 10 passings, was about almost $6,000 per passing. So at this time, I'm not seeking approval for any of these projects. I'm just updating you on the ones that were received and asking permission to start working with the townships and cities to see if they'd like to participate in these programs as well. As you know, one of the parameters of the project was that a township had to participate in order for the funding of the project to move forward. The typical ask of a township is $5,000 for these partnerships. And then the city, they did receive a larger ARPA allocation, so we are asking for 25% of the grant request from the cities. And in this case, it would be both Becker and Elk River. And with that, I'll open it up for questions and any guidance you may have.
Is there any?
Madam Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
Dan, in looking this over, this is towards the puzzle pieces we're trying to put together to create that across the county broadband
Correct.
opportunity towards affordability and reliability. So even though at times it doesn't look like it's a huge number, but it's a piece of this puzzle.
Yeah, and it's almost 800 homes, as you see, if all these projects were approved.
And by getting this infrastructure in, that helps make the next piece more attainable.
Absolutely. It's called the ripple effect. You get some infrastructure here, it continues to grow from there, and a lot of times those are privately funded.
And as
And
we all
competition's
know-
good.
Pardon?
And competition's good as well. As you get more providers in the area, prices tend to go down for residents.
Yeah, and I have since day one been talking about how it's so frustrating when we are talking about broadband and the need for it. This is not unlike in the old days where electricity was important or the phone was important. This now has replaced the phone, and we need that access to that broadband reliability to stay competitive and attractive for people to want to live in Sherburne County and have a business in Sherburne County. So I'm excited to see these opportunities of this puzzle coming together. And we've made, a lot of advancements just where we've moved up the ladder in regards to, I think, what did we start out at? Was it
49th.
49th? And
We're up
we've
to
moved,
13th.
Yep.
in
So we're
about 5
we're
years.
making headway. So, yep, those are just my comments, and I look forward to hearing back from you of what your conversations are with different communities, and we'll see where we go.
And we did allocate 1.5 million for this round of grants. Obviously, the amount requested is higher than that, but we're waiting to hear from the state to see if those applications are accepted. I think the Midco ones are a small enough request, and if the townships want to partner, I would bring those back to you a little sooner. We should know about the state by November, so I'll probably plan on updating you at one of the November meetings, probably the second meeting in November.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Dan.
Thanks.
I'm just so pleased that we have the opportunity to consider, this kind of support for this process, because I just like, we're saying that this is replacing phones, that everybody needs to have access to this service, and that we can help with it really feels like it's once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do some of this, so.
Yeah, on that point, these are federal dollars, and ineligible use is broadband, so I just want to make that point. It is federal dollars, which are still tax dollars, but it is federal dollars, and it was an eligible expense.
Yep.
Okay.
And with that being said, we all understand that this is tax dollars, but these tax dollars will go somewhere, and someone will use them if we don't take advantage of using what we were allotted. Anything that doesn't get used that goes back will get put back out to other entities. So I think we all agree that we fight very hard to make sure what tax dollars are available out there, whether it's state or federal, that we work very hard to bring those dollars back to our county to work for us.
Okay, so
Yeah, I was just looking for guidance today. It sounds like I could start meeting with the townships to see if they're interested in partnering, and then I'll bring that back.
So we don't need to have a vote to approve anything, we just need to.
No, just wanted to provide you an
Very
update
good.
and summary.
No, very
Thank
good.
you.
And Dan, just before you, and I don't mean to, I'm going to rely on your memory here. Remind me when the county did a study to possibly be the entity that would put in that backbone of broadband.
That was 2015, and then we updated the plan last year in 2021.
And in 2015, what did that cost come in at?
$90 million.
Just to provide the spine around the county.
Around the county, correct.
Yep. So we're hoping to achieve this puzzle pieces at a much affordable rate.
Correct, without our ownership of the
Yes.
project.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Okay. Now we can move on to Commissioner Correspondence. Who would like to start? Anyone?
Out of the three of us?
Yeah?
Are you ready, Lisa?
I am.
Okay.
Yes, lots going on. I don't have the dates on these, probably not. It doesn't matter, but I attended the Shack Retreat, a Thursday and Friday retreat, public health focus. It was a great opportunity to be together and discuss all that's important about public health. I was really, really impressed with Jan Malcolm, was with us both days for the 2 days. She really is invested in public health, and I've asked our public health director that we do some kind of an education with our board after the first of the year on public health and Shack's role in that in our state, because I think it's a piece that board members would be interested in. So it was good. I was at the Sherburne area Township meetings. Always interesting. The biggest topic of discussion, it seemed, when we opened it up was THC and them kind of looking to the county. I felt like there were some people with eyes on the county to see if there's something we're going to do as a county. I don't have the answer to that, but I found it interesting. East Central Regional Juvenile Treatment Center. We've got new partners, which is great, strengthening the partnership that we've had for many, many years. Stearns is adding one more bed right now, and we brought on Aitkin County in the last few months. Currently, juvenile detention and treatment there's hardly beds in the state. So when I meet with that group, the conversation is always, we're the only game in town. So a few of us have said, with Anoka taking the lead on that and being the location and doing it well, we'll be starting to have some discussions on what does that mean going forth, being the only game in town to support our juvenile detention in our state. I participated in the household hazardous waste collection site up in Zimmerman. I took pictures of the lines of cars waiting to get into that and how important that is for our households in the county, because the other option they have is Wade Park facility. So that was great. Sherburne County Soil and Water met. I attended the MICA meeting, and Central Minnesota Jobs and Training, the Community and Government Relations meeting, as well as the Workforce Board. And that's it.
Okay, would you like to go ahead?
Yes, okay. October 5th, I attended our options board meeting. Also had we were talking about working towards possibly starting a new business in Big Lake through the options program, and working on providing more opportunities for the ability to people with needs have ability to have access to job opportunities. So we're exploring that. So stay tuned for more information there. Also, October 6th, attended the Mndot District 3 ATP meeting, and that was a very interesting meeting. A lot of information on funding opportunities coming up, so stay tuned. We are looking to our county engineers. They all do a great job of making sure that everybody is on top of what they can apply for to help offset the costs of the different projects that are necessary to continue to improve our, whether it be our bridges and our roadways. So also then October 7th, hang on one second, I've got to, yeah, also on October 5th, attended the Township Association meeting, otherwise known as SCAT. that was a very good a meeting. I always enjoy those because you get to hear what's happening in the townships and maintain that relationship of what the counties do for partnership with our townships. October 7th had the North Star Corridor meeting. That was a meeting to where there's a lot of partners that are involved in the North Star. And there is a study that is being done to explore where are we going to go with North Star, and exploring the different situations based on what it is, either to improve ridership, what does it look like if you stop the North Star, what kind of costs come of that, because there was federal dollars that were involved. I want to say 97 million, I think, was put into that, there's always strings with those, so it isn't like you just get to say, yep, we're done. There's a whole process that would have to be looked at as to what would that cost. So that is in the study phase, and that is up at the state level, and it will be the states that the state will ultimately decide what that future is, so stay tuned. Also, October 8th, I attended and worked and helped serve our Veterans Day dinner event out at the Lions Park in Big Lake, and it was really good to see a lot of our veterans come out, be able to talk with other veterans, have conversations, and enjoy a meal that is provided to them from the local auxiliary. I also, on that same day, attended a town hall for Save Our Sherco event. That was very informative. Also, October 11th, attended a ribbon cutting event for a local business in Big Lake, Style Catering. And then October 12th through the 13th, I attended the Towards Zero Death Conference. I found that very interesting in regards to information and stuff. They are tracking at the moment. They expected during COVID that we would reduce numbers in regards to highway deaths. That number didn't go down. It actually is starting to trend up again. And basically they're tying it back to, it's just plain the speed that people feel comfortable going these days and the results of it. So they're seeing an increase since, one of the largest increases since 1940 in regards to deaths that have gone up. Although 2017, before COVID, was one of the safest years on our roadways. But since then, it's been trending up, and they are trying to do a study right now on trying to figure out, why do people feel that they are okay with going the speeds they're traveling these days. So a lot of great information that came of that. I know Barb maybe has some more things to add, because I know she attended the same conference. And then attended the Big Lake Township meeting that evening. Not a lot of stuff on their agenda. We'll probably see something that will be coming forward in regards to, I don't know if everybody recalls the Andy and Jolene Thielen horse facility, and they're looking to want to do some events. So that'll be coming, I'm sure, after it goes through planning and zoning. We'll be seeing that. And also they recognized years of service for about 7 firefighters. Big Lake Township does have, they are joint partners with the city of Big Lake for the fire hall, along with Orac Township is also part of that. And let me see what else. October 13th had a wrap-up for the Big Lake Farmers Market summer season. Found a lot of good information, and that event just keeps growing, just like we seen here. It's a good way to allow small farms the opportunity to be seen out in the public and grow their businesses. They'll also be doing a winter farmers market. Had an APO board meeting in St. Cloud. Then on October 15th, attended the Big Lake Fire Department open house. And October 17th, I helped with the Big Lake Food Shelf produce distribution. It was really great to be able to see a lot of really good produce get out in the hands of a lot of people. So, and then also attended to various constituents' concerns and conversations. That's it.
Okay. So I also attended the SHAC conference in St. Cloud on October 6th and 7th. And one of the focuses for this conference, and which has been dialogue up to this point and will continue on, is to look at the state level, what is the role of public health in local communities, and how should that be the same that it is now, or how should it be expanded or changed in some way so that health and safety is identified as a focus for them. Different or the same that it is now, we just are talking about that to determine. And then the next week, I also went to the Towards Zero Deaths conference, which was also in St. Cloud. And just as Rayanne said, there was a lot of discussion on how to improve safety and what has worked or what is in the process of being done, what needs to be maybe changed from previously. And it's fascinating to look at everything from how the, roadways speed, how the roads are built, how teenagers are educated as far as safety issues, what are things that can be done to diminish injuries and deaths on our roadways. And so that's always really interesting to go to. And I feel like tremendous work has been done, and we've had some interesting results that weren't quite what we anticipated, but we continue to work on that. So that's all for me right now.
Madam Chair, I had one extra thing, I'm sorry. I forgot to mention that my local Big Lake substance abuse program, known as SUP Coalition, they have formed now and are starting to meet to actively work on and have made progress on getting the message out to kids that substance abuse or anything of that nature, and of course we all know the challenges of what is coming at us with regards to vaping, the THC, all those things that are always there to provide challenges, to make sure we try to give our youth enough information to make good choices. So I'm excited to be a part of that group and to work with reducing and informing and educating our kids. Also, in regards to the Towards Zero Death Conference, I found it also really good. Sherburne County is a county that is so much, you've got urban, and you've got urban county roads, and you've got rural county roads. And so it's working that process of making sure that when we do go in to redo a roadway, we are paying attention to the environment that it's in and working to update the safety factors that are important in our urban areas as well as our rural areas. So I do have to say that I think we have a great group of people that are in charge of that in regards to our Public Works Department. They do an awesome job, and I know that they hear from us all the time on, we need this road to look like this. How do we do it? So I just want to point that out, that Sherburne County is somewhat unique in how it lives in both worlds. So that was just my wrap up. Thank you. Thank you.
Upcoming things that possibly should be on our list. This one probably not. There's a open house tonight for CASA 4 in Zimmerman, working on the reconstruction of CASA 4 from 10th to County Road 45. It's from 5 to 7 at the Zimmerman Community Events Center, so please come out and join us there. But the two things that maybe should be on our list are our AMC District 5 meeting on Monday. Should be posted probably, and then November 17th, the Sherburne County Soil and Water District Volunteer Appreciation Dinner. AMC District 5 meeting this next Monday is in Litchfield. So, that's it.
Okay. Thanks for those additions. So now we can move on, to adjourn our regular meeting and open our ditch authority meeting. And our first item would be to approve the ditch authority agenda.
I'll move approval.
Motion's been made to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second it, only if you brought pictures.
Yes, I do have some.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion's passed. So then we approve, and then we need to receive and accept the report. So thank you very much.
Here comes the pictures.
Good morning,
Okay,
Madam Chair, Commissioners.
welcome.
Are there any questions regarding my written report as far as anything? I'll go through each ditch that I highlighted in my report.
I did find one thing interesting, Mike, when reading it, is how when you were out just trying to assist a landowner and then came across an issue that probably would be a good idea to, have more landowners hopefully kind of see if there is something that is happening, that they reach out to contact you, because, based on your report, it looks like the situation had been going on for a while.
Yeah,
The ditch wasn't working like we wanted it to.
there was no flooding going on, but if we get a lot of snow this winter, this could be a potential problem in the spring.
Yep.
I saw that as soon as I went out there. Yeah, I do get a lot of help from landowners. They'll contact me and let me know what's going on. It's a pretty big county. I can't be everywhere, and there's a lot of places on private property where, I really don't want to intrude on just randomly walking through and contacting people unless there's really a problem. But most of the time, people let me know what's going on.
Just one question when you say that, Mike, and knowing that, you don't want to be randomly walking on people's properties, and I'm not quite sure, does drone usage help sometimes in those cases?
It does. It does.
Okay.
For sure it does. County Ditch 1, proposing clean out, had a request from landowner to clean the ditch through their property. Looking at it closely, it's been a long time since this stretch of ditch has been cleaned, so my proposal is to go from our new County Road 94 up to Ranch Road. So this will satisfy downstream and upstream of their property. And they were pretty happy that we're gonna be proactive and get that cleaned out. It's been a while, and some of the spoil piles from the last time are kind of they're not able to go through them or around them. They're just big piles, and people use their land for hunting, and they'd like to be able to utilize that buffer zone, using four-wheelers and walking. So I've submitted all the permits necessary. Should be here in the next two to 4 weeks. They have a 30-day comment period, so that'll be in about 3 weeks. And I don't foresee any challenges here. It should be approved without issue. Ditch 28, this is where I went out to the property. You can see, I think this is right up in here is where the ditch is on this property that was recently purchased in May. The landowner is looking into putting a house on this lot. He had it surveyed by Bogart Peterson, had a wetland delineation, and I got a request from Bogart Peterson to go out there and show exactly where the tile outlets into the open ditch portion of that ditch. And I said, sure, I'll come out there and show you. I've been out to this area before, so I knew exactly where it was. This here is where the tile, where the flag is where the tile inlets to the open ditch, or outlets into the open ditch. It's about almost a foot underwater, and it's not working very good. It's all backed up with vegetation and needs to be addressed. As you can see, this is where the open ditch is. I mean, it's pretty defined with the cattails, the way it goes. Probably, I'd say 18 inches of vegetation and sediment need to be removed to allow the, allow the pipe to drain. Here's a view west of there. This is where it comes into a culvert that goes underneath the road. There's the culvert. It's just a 15-inch metal pipe that goes under the road, but it's also incorporated with the street's stormwater. There's a spillway off the road that goes down into this culvert. There's a catch basin on the other side of the road that takes on water. If you remember this yard from last year, we replaced 80 feet of 15-inch metal pipe that was rotted completely through, causing sinkholes in his yard. So we put in 80 feet of new pipe in there to keep his yard from settling and all the dirt washing away into the pipe. So restoration went really good on this one. The landowner took good care of it, watered it. Looks better than it did before. Cattails are not as heavy down on this end. There'll be a few trees that we'll have to remove by the road and along the way. But it's what they call maintenance. That's all I have. Is there any questions or comments?
I did have one question, Madam Chair. Yeah. The landowner that you had said recently purchased this property and was looking to build a house on, they were aware that there was a county ditch system on their property, so they weren't surprised by anything when they were looking to survey for where the house might go or anything.
They knew it was there, but they didn't know exactly where.
Okay.
The original plat, when it was platted with the neighborhood, actually showed the county ditch about 50 feet south.
Oh.
So they, when he had it surveyed by Bogart Peterson, they surveyed in the ditch to where exactly it is, and they made it right on his survey.
So then everything's been updated?
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you.
So how long has it been since this ditch was, any work on it? I mean, is it working? Doesn't look, it looks like it's filled in, so that's what it is.
It's I would call it somewhat functional. I mean, the water eventually gets through the grass and eventually gets through the cattails down to the inlet of that culvert under the road, but it's not very efficient. And in best scenario, the ditch should be cleaned out to the original bottom, and the drain tile that outlets into that ditch should be visible. You should be able to see the whole thing.
Okay.
It's a 8-inch drain tile.
Any other questions?
Yeah, just gonna say, we don't want our drain tile areas to start to look like wetlands.
Right. Because it will keep getting worse and really get plugged up, then there's gonna be a problem upstream.
Yeah.
Where the water can't get out of there. It'll trap and pond, and people will be calling because it's pretty low around there. And the landowner is very appreciative that we're gonna help his drainage.
Okay.
Any
so
further questions? No.
I'll move to accept the ditch drainage report from Mike Lindenau.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept the ditch drainage report. All those, is any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion's passed. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And then our next meeting will be Tuesday, December 20th, 2022. Okay. Thank you. So we can adjourn our ditch authority meeting and take a recess for, what do you think?
15,
What-
11.
Back at 11? Is that okay? Or
We
do
got a
you-
45-minute workshop, so, and there's some 11:30 meetings. Can we do 10 minutes? Is that okay, Rhea?
Sure, that's true. 10 is fine.
So,
We'll be back at
10,
10 to?
yeah, 5 or 10 to, yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to be in the back room too for the workshop.
Okay.